Hey, sports fans, did you know there is a convention just for you? Just like all the geeks have Comic-Con, now you have SportsCon. Be there July 13th and meet fantasy superstars like Melvin Gordon, Zeke Elliott, and Patty Mahomes. These are just a few of the hundreds of players and personalities at the SportsCon this year. Not to mention your favorite people ever, Sleeper Wire and Eat Sleep Fantasy Podcast will be hosting the official fantasy draft party of SportsCon. We've got live drafts, draft boards provided by Draft Party USA. We've got raffles for signed jerseys, courtesy of Prestige Sports Memorabilia, dinner, drinks, trivia, and much more. Tickets are limited, so get them now. When they're gone, you're going to wish you had one. Join us July 13th at Top Golf in Dallas for the best after party of SportsCon. Check out draftnightout.com for more info.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's Sleeper Wire Show, our continuation of the breakdown of the AFC. I am Professor Chris, and with me on the show once again, my bae, Prophet Hoos. How's it going, man?
What is going on, man? I'm excited, a little hungry, but I'm excited because it's just you and I, and we got some special alone time. I'm going to savor this.
It's been a long time since it's been just us.
Yeah, it's been like great debates or something like that. We just only had a few minutes, so we had to get it in when we were able to. So now we got a nice little long hour. So
it's going to be a real intimate show.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully we didn't scare anybody off.
This week, going through the AFC East and the AFC West, baby.
Oh, man.
Oh, well, guys, like I just said, we're talking about the AFC East and the AFC West this week. We did the North and South last week with Pat Fitzmaurice, so go back and listen to that show if you want to hear any of those 8 teams. But we're going to kick it off with a little bit of news here. Hoos, you ready to get going?
There you go.
All right, let's do it. All right, so first off, Ezekiel Elliott once again in the news for off-season, shenanigans. He was handcuffed by security at a Las Vegas music festival. He apparently stopped his girlfriend from leaving after they had an argument. Then he kind of shoved a security guard up against a barrier or a fence or something like that. He was not charged with anything, but he was handcuffed. Now, if this had been almost any other player, I think, okay, no big deal. But given Zeke's history with the league, punishment with the league, obviously not history with the law per se, but just discipline from the league, do you think he might get slapped with a little ban here, Hoos?
I would not be surprised if they gave him 2 games at all. I mean, you can't get, caught. If there's, just look around. Check the vicinity. The cameras have lights on them. How could you not notice these things? It's TMZ. They're asking you weird questions. You don't answer them, they're going to get this kind of stuff on you. How do you let this happen? Zeke Elliott, Jerry Jones, why don't you have somebody just tagging around this guy and not his girlfriend, which she has some nice buns in the video if you didn't catch the blurred version. Other than that, come on. I mean, these guys have issues. If there's a camera involved, you're going to get suspended at least a couple games. It's just going to happen that way. So, I mean.
Yeah, you and I just started a huge IDP slow team, or IDP large roster, I think 18-team roster slow draft with the mods and analysts on Sleeper. And I had the number 1 overall pick. My number 1 this season is Ezekiel Elliott. But since we had already started, or we were getting ready to start the draft, I said, you know what? I'm not going to take the chance. No. It might be 2 games. I think there's a better chance that he gets suspended for a couple games than not. So I took Saquon.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he dropped 5th overall. So
yeah, he did.
We're already seeing the repercussions. If you're in dynasty, slow drafts, or whatever kind of draft you're in, you got to pay attention. It's bad timing for them to get up Rod Smith, who they ended up drafting a guy behind Zeke. But, man, Smith he looked like he was, the guy behind Zeke for some time. And who is it? Tony Pollard, and they got Mike Weber. They got Darius Jackson as well. But man, Rod Smith, I'm guessing they might be a little upset that they let him go, but I don't know. They've got writings on the wall with Zeke apparently because they grabbed two running backs in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going to be a stud for the vast majority of the season, but clearly, people are not wanting to take him with their first overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, first round is tough. It's already possibly a couple of busts in every first round of every year, be it suspensions or guy gets injured. It just happens that way. Or guy doesn't perform as well as we did. Devonta Freeman's won for a couple years in a row. So, yeah, I mean, this is not good for your first rounder, and rightfully so. Yeah, you're going to see him get a few picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on here. A little bit of Tyreek Hill news and maybe also non-news at the same time. Roger Goodell has confirmed that the NFL is not going to take action or at least make a decision on punishment against Tyreek Hill until Child Protective Services has made a decision, whether that be removing the child from the home completely or removing him from the girlfriend's home or from Tyreek Hill's home. We do not know what's going on, but the NFL has said that they are not going to make a decision until CPS has made a call. So, news and non-news. we don't even really need to speculate, but just keeping you guys updated.
Does this do anything for you as far as you're in a draft, you see Zeke's on the board? Sorry, not Zeke, Tariq. You see Tariq is on the board. Are you thinking maybe now, like, okay, there's no news, there's no video. NFL has been quiet about it, but they're continuing to be now. Do you feel a little lucky with Tyreek Hill now? You pulling the trigger?
Nope.
All right.
Not a chance. Not before the 5th.
Before the 5th. That's fair, though. That's fair.
Yep. If he's there in the 5th round, 6th round, maybe, but I'm not spending a top 4 round pick.
No, yeah. 5th rounder, yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on here. Not a whole lot of news this week, but we got a couple more pieces here. This one, I did not hear about this. I'm not sure if you did, but Pete Carroll said that Chris Carson had knee surgery in the offseason. He is expected to be ready at training camp. Is this news, or did they just come out and I missed it?
I think it missed us all because when it came out, we were just kind of like, huh, what? Okay, so he's going to be ready for training camp. Okay, that's cool. I feel like a lot of these news blurbs where the guy had a minor off-season surgery, they keep this stuff under wraps because none of us ever know. They tell us, and I feel like it's been with a couple of guys recently that had some sort of off-season surgery, however minor.
Eric Ebron had groin surgery?
Yeah, like what? Excuse me? Like, when did that happen?
Yep.
I mean, obviously they tell us after the fact and they're on track. You want to keep the news, good news for your players, I guess. So that's why they hide some of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of non-news. They did draft a running back anyway, Homer, I believe so it's interesting. I mean, I think they needed another back anyway. They let Mike Davis go. But yeah, I mean, I'm still high on Carson. I've been high on Carson coming into this coming season. Yeah, so I still think he's going to finish a RB15 top.
All right, yep. I think I'm there with you. DJ Metcalf practicing punt returns. Is this news or is it just maybe a little early offseason hype?
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it hype unless you're getting the yardage points. But there's not a lot of guys showing up to camp at this point in the season.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. That's pretty much it. You got a lot of the vets that are just not showing up yet. And rightfully so. It's voluntary for a reason.
Carson Wentz is full go for this season. He said that he is going to be 100% ready, and he is not going to be wearing the knee brace that he was wearing for the 2018 season. So that's good news for fantasy fans, good news for Eagles fans. Darius Geis also expected to be full go at training camp, so that's good news for him. But this deal, someone needs to let Tyler Eifert know that his curse can't spread to Tyler Kroft on other teams.
Yeah, man.
Tyler Kroft
terrible.
Signed a deal with the Buffalo Bills to be their starting tight end and then broke his foot on the first day of OTAs, and he's going to have to get surgery. Maybe it's just a Tyler thing.
It must be. I guess so. Tyler's.
If your name is Tyler and you play football, don't be a tight end.
Yeah. Word to the wise.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into finishing up our AFC breakdown, rather. Speaking of the Buffalo Bills, let's kick off the AFC East with them. So the starters, we have Josh Allen, LaShawn McCoy, John Brown, Zay Jones, and, well, it was Tyler Kroft, but looks like now Jason Kroom maybe as their starting tight end. Now, Josh Allen was awesome last season at the end. You know, the rushing yards were something you could rely on every single week. LaShawn McCoy did not have a good season last year, which I think surprised a whole lot of people because he was really the only guy there. Then they signed, Frank Gore. They brought in TJ Yeldon for pass catching. John Brown and Zay Jones. Do you like these two guys the most for wide receivers?
John Brown and Zay Jones. Robert Foster, I was actually highest on coming into this season. I saw Chris Brown, not the singer, but the guy that covers the Buffalo Bills. He had a Periscope up, and luckily I caught him. He was taking questions, and I asked him among those receivers, who does he see leading the team in targets? And his answer was kind of surprising, I thought.
Cole Beasley?
Initially, yeah, he did say Cole Beasley. But after that practice, apparently Zay Jones, he said, came in with 10 pounds of muscle and just looked stellar, just looked like the guy. Now he believes Zay Jones is going to be the target leader. Robert Foster looked great, caught a long bomb. Zay Jones finished the drive with a touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's getting buried. Everybody's talking about John Brown. Everybody's talking about Robert, not everyone, but you're thinking of Robert Foster the way he finished. And, he had great rapport with Allen. And then you're also thinking about Beasley. They just gave him, $9 million a year? So, yeah, rightfully so. Zay Jones, you're not thinking. Last time we heard of Zay Jones, he had a crazy incident, in a hotel room or something. So this might be the sleeper of he's kind of guy that's creeping up on boards. So he's a guy to look at. Also, Kroom. I know we were talking about Kroom. He's another guy that actually came down with the injury in that same Periscope that Chris Brown was saying. He actually came up with an injury as well, nicked up his ankle. So they got Tyler Kroft and Jason Kroom, a little banged up. That leaves Dawson Knox and Tommy Sweeney, the rookies that they have, getting all the reps. So between those two guys, those are the guys. I mean, obviously, Jason Kroom, you're going to take a look to see if his ankle is okay. He's probably going to be the benefactor. But definitely take a look at Tommy Sweeney and Dawson Knox. Those guys might be benefactors right away.
Let's move on to the New York Jets. I think that's enough time on the Bills.
Yeah, it's not much else to talk about. Singletary's also getting some work as well. That was nice to mention. But LaShawn McCoy is not at the workouts, and Frank Gore's still nursing an ankle. So, again, it's kind of that who's left here. So he's getting a bunch of looks, and apparently he looks really good. So there you go.
All right. Moving to New York, Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell, wide receivers at Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, Jamison Crowder, and then Chris Herndon at tight end. Is Le'Veon Bell going to be worth a first-round pick?
He could be. I'm not going to grab him in the first round just because there's a lot of uncertainty there. Just don't know what Gase is up to. With recent reports saying, he didn't really like him at the money that he spent there. Obviously, he likes the player, likes the talent, but they do have McGuire there who looked good. Obviously, he's no Bell. I'm not saying McGuire is as good as Bell or anything, but it's a head-scratching situation. I don't know if I feel that great having him in the first round. The second round, sure. I mean, I'd be happy having Bell on my team, but I don't know. First round, that's a round I usually try to get out of.
Right now, according to Fantasy Football Calculator, Le'Veon Bell is the 6th running back taken off the board at the 107 in PPR.
Yeah, I mean that's a little too sweet.
He's going ahead of Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, James Conner.
Yeah, that's.
I think you'd take all of those guys over.
Yeah,
Bell,
I
right?
would. I certainly would.
Yeah,
kind of high.
I was kind of shocked. I was like, who's to talk about Bell? I should look up where he's going. And then I was looking in the second round. Nope, into the first. Holy shit, he's going in the middle of the first round? That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, he's entering a new offense. He looks great as far as his offseason routine. He's got a lot to prove. I would not be surprised at all if he finishes top 5. I just wouldn't draft him that way.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. What about David Johnson going at the 106? Is he worth being drafted in the first round?
Back end, I have like I don't even say about love hate. I like him.
I totally know you have a love hate.
I don't really like David Johnson as much. I love his opportunity. I think that they're going to try to give him as much work as possible. I don't know, something about David Johnson to me that's just I know I've been on record to say he's not the greatest of rushers. He's a great pass catcher. But yeah, he's I don't know. I've been a little down on David Johnson. So yeah, he's another guy. This is one of the reasons why I try to trade out of the first round and try to get maybe a second and a third or something. Just because all those second rounders guys, they could just easily finish a top, a first rounder anyway. So it just makes good sense for me every year.
Yeah. Let's talk about the wide receivers here. Now, I believe you and I probably both like Robbie Anderson the most, right?
Robbie Anderson, man. Love that guy.
Well, let's talk about the other two, though. Enunwa and Crowder. Which guy would you rather have? Who do you see as being the second wide receiver on that team?
I would definitely say Crowder. I mean, they paid him the money. And I think they're going to look for him to kind of play that Landry role in that Gase offense, kind of how we saw Albert Wilson replicate that somewhat until he got injured. So yeah, I could see Crowder being that guy. I'm hoping Robbie Anderson is who we want him to be again in this upcoming season. It's just another year of coach changing, new offense. We just don't know. It's been a lot of up and down for Robbie Anderson. I think he's an elite player, elite wide receiver. We're just gonna have to wait and see him actually pull it all together. But yeah, I would definitely say Crowder right now would be the number 2.
Are either Crowder or Enunwa worth drafting?
Crowder, sure. I'd grab Crowder late. Yeah, Enunwa, I probably wouldn't take him, even though he could be a nice little sleeper. But they also drafted Greg Dortch as well, so he could be replacing Enunwa. He's also had some injury history, so we'll have to wait and see there. It's very early. We want to see these guys in pads. So early breakdown, but the outlook so far, definitely Crowder and Robbie Anderson are going to be those guys.
Chris Herndon, top 10 tight end?
If he can stay out of trouble, sure. Top 10, top 12. I'll give him top 12.
Okay. He's being drafted behind actually Jordan Reed right now. Would you take Jordan Reed or Herndon?
Oh, man. I'd want Herndon over Reed, but I think Reed would possibly be safer. As crazy as that sounds. It doesn't sound...
For 3 games... Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's not wearing a brace this year either, I'll have you know.
For right now.
Yeah, for right now.
Anyways, let's move on to Miami. Ryan Fitzpatrick, new to town there. Kenyon Drake, Albert Williams, Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, and Mike Gesicki. Hoos, do you think Fitzpatrick is going to be the starter at the time that the season starts, or is Josh Rosen going to take it?
I think they should start Rosen, but I would not be surprised at all if Fitzpatrick starts based off of what we've seen him do last year. And almost every time we see him, he's Fitzmagic for a reason, and then he turns to Fitztragic. But, in fairness to him, I think it might be it might be good for Rosen as well to kind of just have another chip on your shoulder. I think he's got enough of them right now. He's probably carrying boulders around, but he's a guy that kind of had, I think he kind of expected everything, and he's kind of getting that rude of awakening. He had that attitude coming into the NFL, like, my team, this is, I'm the greatest, quarterback of the class. And I mean, obviously you should feel all those things, but kind of felt not too great, so I feel like this might humble him somewhat. If Fitzpatrick does start at least a few games, it's going to do great things for Kenny Stills. I mean, we've seen that rapport with him and Deshaun Jackson, that long bomb threat. Kenny Stills just came out and said he wants to be the number 1 wide receiver on the team. Obviously, we've seen him possibly do it. Tannehill didn't help him, and neither of the other quarterbacks. So I think it's an upgrade from anything that they've had. Ryan Tannehill, he's firmly Mariota's backup at this point. So if I had to bet day one, I would say Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the wide receivers here. If Ryan Fitzpatrick is the starter, what wide receiver would you want if you had to pick one? Albert Willis, Devontae Parker, or Kenny Stills?
Give me Stills.
I am in agreement there. What about if Rosen is the starter?
If Rosen, I would say Gesicki would be the biggest benefactor, and then Albert Wilson as well. So yeah, Wilson and Gesicki.
I think I'm going to go with Devontae Parker if it's Josh Rosen.
I could see
because
it.
We just don't know if Wilson is healthy yet.
Yeah, that's true too. And I could see them trying to get Parker involved. It's his fifth year. He's got to do it this year. If not,
that's what we said last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's just doesn't want to play. He's feel bad for the guy. He just doesn't seem like he wants to play football.
Yeah,
but apparently he was somewhat good at it enough to get drafted and earn some millions of dollars. So
yeah, it pays pretty well.
It's all right. It's all right.
Last team here in the AFC East, the New England Patriots. I'm sorry. My bad. Tom Brady, then a running back. Once again, they always have, at least two. Yep. They got three. Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead, and also Damian Harris in there. Wide receivers, the two starters, Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry, but they've also got Demaryius Thomas, Braxton Berrios, Philip Dorsett, Maurice Harris, Damon Patterson. I think really, do you expect Demaryius Thomas to be on the team? There's rumors that he'll get cut.
Yeah, I don't really see how he's going to be healthy enough to. It was a late season injury. So yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to end up activating Josh Gordon as well. So that's another mouth.
That's true. I forgot he's not in here.
Yeah, so I don't see it. I'd like to see him, bounce back, and I love, Demaryius Thomas. Obviously, he's helped. If you're any good at fantasy, he's helped you in a bunch of games and playoff games, and hopefully won you some championships. It's sad to see any guy go out like this, but this is usually how we see the vet wide receivers go out. We still have Dez trying to come back. You have Jordy Nelson saying he'd come back if old Green Bay gives him the call up. So these guys still have football runs in their veins, and they're gonna try to play. I don't know. It'd be tough for him to make the team right now. Their wide receiver there, I'd probably say would be Dorsett, though. As far as a benefactor, you definitely got Harry and Edelman. Those would be the 1 and 2. Then Dorsett, I would say, is definitely the biggest benefactor if Gordon does not come back.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If you had to pick one, Austin Seferian-Jenkins or Ben Watson?
Well, definitely ASJ. He's, the Ben Watson's a great blocker. Steven Anderson probably over Ben Watson as well.
Watson was really good in New Orleans for that 1 year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I think he finished number 11.
He's a top 5 tight end.
So I believe he finished 11 if I'm not mistaken. But I just don't see it at this point in his career. He's old. He's 38 years old, and we joked about, we had Jake Seeley on the show a couple weeks ago. We joked, unless you're in the points per block, I don't see.
I was listening back to that.
I don't know if he's going to be the guy. I like Matt Lacoste. I like that signing until they brought in ASJ. Matt Lacoste was my guy before they brought in ASJ, but ASJ is only 26 years old. He's in a
he seems way old
talent. But yeah, he's just always in trouble and always I don't know, just he's not very reliable. So this is not a good cluster of tight ends right here. I think they're going to end up using their backs probably more. They're going to use a ton of James White and probably Damian Harris. And then hopefully, I don't see them doing this, especially if if they just signed him to this extension, meaning Rudolph and the Vikings, I'd love to see him on New England. I mean, not love, but as far as fantasy purposes, I'd love to see him in New England.
Yeah, we actually talked about that last week with Pat.
Yeah, that'd be a great landing spot, but I don't see them doing it now that they're talking about extending him for a 5-year contract.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer was asked about trading Kyle Rudolph, and he said, why? We're talking about giving him an extension, and he's still on the team, and he's under contract. So
yeah, narratives among the football community, among Twitter sphere, narratives create so much, and that's really all it is. Yeah, why? It's like you said, why? But you know, it's like people want to create narratives on a slow Monday, slow news Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. It's the off season. That's all we got to do is talk about possibles.
Well, let's move to a much more interesting division here. AFC West. This one's got some powerhouse teams in it, or at least were last season. We'll talk about the Chiefs here in just a few. Let's kick it off with the Denver Broncos, though. Joe Flacco at quarterback, who has hinted at the fact that he does not want to mentor Drew Lock. I think maybe Flacco just, this is my job. I'm here for, a year or two. Get off me.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure.
Makes sense.
It could be it.
No one was upset when Brett Favre did it. Brett Favre did it. Said the same thing about Aaron Rodgers. He's like, so it's nothing to see here. I mean, he should be looking to beat out Drew Lock. I think he beats out Drew Lock. He looked decent
for sure
last year until they gave the reins to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson didn't outplay Joe Flacco. I know he got a lot of rushing yardage, but that's a great way to get hurt. I mean, just ask RG3. I don't like it.
Now, Philip Lindsay, do you think he is going to be what he was last season when he basically just took that role by force and by storm? Is it going to be the Philip Lindsay show, or Royce Freeman? Is he going to earn back some of that work? They've still got Devontae Booker. They've got Devontae Jackson, both spelled the same way, which is kind of strange. But Philip Lindsay, he's being drafted fairly early in quite a few leagues. I'm seeing him go much earlier than I would be comfortable paying for him. He's still on the board in our money league. He's going at the 408.
So you want no parts of him at that point?
I don't want him at that point. Now, some guys going behind him, I'd take Chris Carson, Kenyon Drake, maybe Darius Geis. I don't know. If I'm at the point where I'm looking at Philip Lindsay as one of my starting running backs, I'm not happy with my first 3 picks.
See, I have him in that same category, and I guess to your point, yeah, maybe he shouldn't be there. I have him in that same category as with the Drakes. I think they're pretty much the same kind of back. Can they finish top 15? Sure. Is he going to finish 1 again? I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it. I do like Philip Lindsay. I would take him in the 4th round. I mean, he did finish a RB1. So if you're getting an RB1 in the 4th round, that's stealing. If he ends up, this is another guy that I'm not sure. I'm not saying he's listening to podcasts, but he listens to talk radio, I'm sure, or throws on ESPN, FS1, whatever it is. And here's people talking about him, turns on an NFL network. Here's people saying Royce Freeman's going to be the guy. Why? Why would Royce Freeman be the guy? He had all of last offseason. He come in, they both were brought in at the same time. He beat him out. So why would
everybody was on the Freeman train?
Yeah. So, but they're on it again now. Why are people picking Royce Freeman or like so close? Like if you see Freeman, Lindsay going round 4 or 5, I'm seeing Freeman go like a couple rounds after. Why?
I see Freeman in the 9th in a 12-team PPR.
Okay, maybe I'm doing too many sleeper drafts. I guess people on sleeper it's a different type of keen on sleeper. Those people there, so
it is.
Yeah, so I'm thinking they're thinking big back, little back makes sense for the big back to get the most work. It's a new system, so I guess I get it there, but at the same time, we've seen what Lindsey has done already. He's beat Freeman out already. I don't see any reason to downgrade him too much. So 4th round, I'm very happy with Philip Lindsey there.
So you'd be okay with him as your RB2?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, okay. I would even take him RB1 in a PPR because I'm probably going to, if I have Philip Lindsey as my 1, I probably also have maybe a James White later or something like that, a Tariq Cohen maybe right after that as well. So I'm fine with that because that guy's going to give me some touchdowns and the other guy's going to give me some stat pad for me in a PPR. So I'm good with that.
All right. So, sounds like you are higher on Philip Lindsey than I am.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. You want no parts. Yep. I'm telling you, you could get on this train too. It's some room. He's all right. He's all right. He's all right.
Let's talk about some of the guys who are going ahead of him. Philip Lindsey or David Montgomery?
See, give me Lindsey.
Mark Ingram.
Yeah, give me Lindsey.
Sony Michel.
Sony.
Kerryon Johnson.
That's tough. I want to say Kerryon, but I feel like he's got even more competition. So, yeah, give me Lindsey.
What about Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry?
Man, Aaron Jones is so scary to me. He could be so great, and then he could just be nothing, especially since they just drafted a running back. The new regime took their running back. I guess I would want Aaron Jones just off of his draft value. I'd probably look to trade him, though.
Aaron Jones is going at the 312 and Lindsey at the 408.
Yeah, so I'd like him at his draft capital. And then Derrick Henry, I'd feel better about Lindsey on a game-to-game basis, but I would probably feel better about Henry being a home run hitter. So if I'm waiting late, I'd probably go Henry just because he probably has more home run appeal.
All right. I would take all of those guys over Lindsey.
That's fair.
Deshaun Hamilton or Cortland Sutton? Who you taking? Or Tim Patrick? He got in the mix last year.
He did. I liked him a lot in the PPR. A lot of Deshaun Hamilton love.
There is
quite a bit. I wanna say Sutton though. I want to say Sutton. I think both guys, obviously, they're the 1s and 2s there. Tim Patrick is a decent 3. I think we're writing off Emmanuel Sanders at this point just because he's old. You know,
he's Achilles. Old. Yeah. Coming off an Achilles injury, that's tough.
And then we know Flacco likes tight ends. You know, he's made Dennis Pitta a tight end 1 for years. Is
this the year of the butt?
Yeah, it could be. Probably not, but it could be. I think we see them both integrated, Noah and Butt. So he's definitely gonna use those guys. He's gonna get rapport with the rest of those guys. And I mean, Deshaun, I will say Deshaun has looked the most talented out of them, but they still have a high amount of capital in Sutton. So I think that they try to get the ball to Sutton and then Noah and Butt also factor in as well.
Aside from Flacco, this is a good young team.
It is. It really is.
On paper, talent, just raw talent-wise, this is a good young team.
We've got some Broncos fans on our team, so they're like jumping for joy as they're hearing that right now. So, but they've certainly got a good team. They're not always so great at quarterback. I don't know what happens there, but
not since Peyton.
Yeah, I don't know, but hopefully Lock and Flacco is the future for them.
Lock and Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco.
Flacco. Let's talk about a better team, the Los Angeles Chargers. Phillip Rivers, my guy Melvin Gordon, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Travis Benjamin at wide receiver, and Hunter Henry at tight end. Rivers, I think, is going to have another great year. I have not finished my rankings yet. That is on my to-do list for this week, but I have a feeling I'm going to have Rivers as a quarterback 1. Because how can you not? He's got Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler to throw to, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and then also Travis Benjamin going deep. And then maybe we get to see some Hunter Henry. I'm not sure. The sleeper community and really just the fantasy football community in general is very, very high on Hunter Henry. He's being drafted in the 6th round right now.
Yeah, he's my tight end 3.
Really? Okay. Before we talk about the other guys, explain that. Why?
Well, you just look at, okay, you're very high on Phillip Rivers, right? Are you that high on Mike Williams?
I am much higher on Mike Williams than I am on Hunter Henry.
Okay. Mike Williams. I don't know why people think that Tyrell Williams was a factor last year, but he wasn't. He just was not at all. You could go back and look at the stats. People were like, oh my God, Tyrell Williams is gone. He wasn't a factor. Mike Williams was there, and Keenan Allen was there. Travis Benjamin was not a factor. Hunter Henry will be a red zone factor. He's a beast. He's going to grab at least 8 to 10 touchdowns. It's just going to happen. He's going to grab receptions. He's going to be a target hog. I think between Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry, these are the guys there. Mike Williams is going to be what Mike Williams was last year, I believe. He's going to be kind of like a third receiver, even though he finished close to number 2. But I still think he's going to be like a number 3 receiver there, mainly because of Hunter Henry. And Travis Benjamin may step up. He may just step up. We didn't see him at all. He was just relegated to a 4th role. But this is his last year, and Travis Benjamin was good when he did play. His first year in San Diego. Now they're no longer.
He was even better in Cleveland.
And in Cleveland, forget about it. He was close to a wide receiver 1. So the guy's got talent, and I think between Eckler and Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, these are just those close target areas that Phillip Rivers likes. He's getting older. He's 38 years old. He's not going to be slinging it down as much as I think to Mike Williams, as a lot of people were thinking. So I think that Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and Hunter Henry those guys are going to be the benefactors of Phillip getting another year older. I have him right outside my QB1. I have him as my QB13. But yeah, I mean, Phillip Rivers, he's great every year. He just loses for you in the finals every year. He sucks in the finals as far as your fantasy championships I'm talking about. He just doesn't win for you every year. Last year, the year before that, he doesn't put up good numbers, it seems like, as the season goes on. So, yeah, that's the only thing that scares me there. He could play very well at the beginning of the season. I'd probably try to trade him off to get something a little bit more sure.
So we got Mike Williams going at the 5-12 right now. Is that too early for him?
Definitely too early for him.
So some of the guys going after him, I'm assuming you'd take Tyler Boyd over. Oh, yeah. I figured you would.
Very high on Boyd.
I knew the answer to that question. What about DJ Moore and Alshon Jeffrey?
I want both of them over him, yep.
Allen Robinson?
No, I think I'd take Mike Williams over Allen Robinson.
Robbie Anderson? Will Fuller?
Robbie Anderson, I take Will Fuller. Will Fuller's right there. I think I would rather... I'd take the upside off of Williams, though, I guess.
What about Dante Pettis and N'Keal Harry?
I take both of those guys. I even take Geronimo Allison over Mike Williams, who's going
2 rounds later.
So
or a round and a half, yeah.
So I'm not too high on Mike Williams at all. I think he's going to be fine, but I don't see a huge increase just because there's not that much targets that dropped from last year to this year. I know there's a narrative that Tyrell Williams was a factor. He just wasn't. Just go back and look at the numbers. He wasn't.
Yes, I was of that mindset too. Tyrell Williams got 41 receptions on 65 targets. 65 targets is not a whole lot.
It's not.
And they didn't have really a tight end last year either, so Hunter Henry was gone. But I don't see Travis Benjamin stepping up more than how involved he already was. I kind of feel like Hunter Henry comes in and takes most of those Tyrell Williams targets, and then the rest of them go to Mike Williams.
And then we got Melvin Gordon that consistently catches. How many balls he catch last year? Like 50-something. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, Melvin and Keenan, I think we're both factoring in that they're going to get the majority.
I mean, we didn't
there.
talk about Melvin Gordon. I'm talking about I said Eckler, just because when we think about pass catchers, I think of those guys.
I didn't want to talk about Eckler,
but
no, I don't want to talk about Eckler.
Just stayed for Eckler. Yeah, I like.
No, I don't want to talk about him.
It's okay.
No,
it's okay.
No.
We're moving on.
Let's talk about Melvin. That's much better.
Well, yeah, we know he's going to catch a ton of balls, so that's not going to. He could even catch a few more. I could see that happening too. I mean, the guy didn't finish the season last year. There's another guy that seems to have issues finishing seasons, but obviously no one's shying away from Melvin Gordon. He's a stud.
He only played 12 games last season. He did play 16 back in 2017. Only 12 games last year. Yep, I'm looking at NFL.com right now.
I feel like
he in 12 games, though, he caught 50 balls, where the year before in 16, he caught 58. So last year, he was on pace for like well over his best season ever.
Yeah, and Eckler was still looking great. And Keenan Allen, he finished a little underneath from us.
Producer, you can cut all this shit out.
Look, Keenan Allen, actually, would you say he had a disappointing season?
No, not at all. I would say that he may have had a slightly disappointing start to the season compared to what he finished 2017 doing. But no, Keenan Allen was great. He was a top 5 or top 10 guy, wasn't he?
He finished top 12 in the PPR. He finished 12, I believe. So that's why I posed that question, just because you expect him to be in that 6th range, I would say, in the PPR.
Not disappointed at all. I actually, in this slow draft that we had, I started out Saquon Barkley, and then I took T.Y. Hilton and Keenan Allen on the 2-3, and I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, totally pumped with that.
This is an exciting offense. Like,
I want
man.
As many and it didn't change
of this offense as possible. Obviously, I'm okay with Travis Benjamin unless it's a deep league or something like that, sure, or best ball. But yeah, I give me these guys. You know, these are guys that's going to win you weeks. You know, every year. Until they get injured. They don't, obviously. But yeah, these guys are stellar, man. This is a great offense. You want to add as many offensive pieces from great offenses to your fantasy team, obviously.
Man. Hunter Henry, tight end 3. Wow. Everybody on Twitter, get on there. Who's the prophet? Give him a bunch of crap for that.
Or love. Yeah, give me the love.
Let's move on. Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Damian Williams, maybe Tyreek Hill if he plays, Sammy Watkins, and Travis Kelce. So Mahomes, if Hill's not there, certainly not throwing 50 touchdowns again. If Hill is there, probably not throwing 50 touchdowns again, but I could see easily getting to 40. I think we can both agree that Travis Kelce is the best, if not the top 2 best tight ends in the game, right? It's Kelce and Ertz.
Yeah, I'd put Kelce quite ahead.
I have Kelce 1.
I have him 1, and then space, Ertz, and then like whoever. Yeah, else.
Then a couple spaces later, Kittle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
these guys are just. We just went from an insane offense to a even more one. Even if you even take out Tariq, take out Holmes. This offense is scary, man. This is, that's 26 touchdowns that we took away. Right, between Hill and Conley and Hunt as well. So that's a lot of touchdowns that are just gone. But they still got Sammy Watkins. They drafted Nicole Harry. They've got Demarcus Robinson, who I am very high on. He actually ended the season, had great rapport with Patty. He had about 4 touchdowns, and you didn't really see most of it until the end of the season. So he's a red zone threat. And, this Damian Williams, stud, he should finish a top 10 guy, barring injury. Carlos Hyde, another guy that can do it. We've seen him finish top 10. He can catch balls.
Yeah. And that's what I want to talk about him real quick. I'm going to cut you off here. I love him too. Is Damian Williams worth that second round pick? He's going at the 211. He is.
But I will say, you want Hyde on your team.
Is Carlos Hyde going to earn the starting job by the end of training camp?
I would say not. I could see them splitting, though, somewhat. And I think you take it. You take the fantasy points, and at the end of the day, running backs, they don't always stay healthy. You want guys that can do it. Then they got Darwin Thompson, who's been a proven guy that, he can do it as well, in all facets of the game. But Carlos Hyde as your backup, that's stupid. That shit's just like, what? This is coming from a guy who, when he was on the Niners in the beginning of his hype, was always down on Hyde. You remember, Chris? I was always down on
yeah.
Hyde. I was like, oh, Carlos Hyde? No, I'm not interested. And the reason why I'm never interested is always capital. It's usually capital. I don't mind Damian Williams' capital because you're getting first-round production possibly in the second round. Carlos Hyde, of course, give me that capital. 9th round, and he could possibly be first-round production? I mean, that's just stealing, So I love both of these guys.
Hyde's going to have more points than Damian Williams, man. I'm telling you. I don't think it's a hot take. Other people do.
I wouldn't bet it.
I posted that in one of the threads in Sleeper, and it got more face palms than maybe anything I've ever posted. So I was like, you know what? Face palm away, fellas.
Are you sure that's not a hot take?
Yep. Come talk to me in December.
Yeah.
When Carlos Hyde has the starting job and he's got way more points. Give me Carlos Hyde in the 8th or 9th round all day.
Where do you need to take Damian? Where do you feel comfortable taking Damian Williams? Or he's just not going to be on any of your teams because where he's going, you're just not going to have him on any of your teams?
Damian Williams will be on none of my teams.
Okay. That's fair.
Yep. None of my teams. I firmly believe Carlos Hyde's going to be the more productive back for fantasy. Maybe Damian Williams will have bigger games, but I think Carlos Hyde is going to have more points and he's going to be a more consistent performer. Damian Williams might have that, like catch 8 passes and a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown, where Hyde might not do that. But we've seen Carlos Hyde catch 59 passes in a season.
That's true.
So, it's not like, oh, Carlos Hyde, he can't do anything with his hands. Like Damian Williams, he's the guy who can catch all the passes. No, Carlos Hyde can catch. We just saw him do it, I think, in 2
years ago.
17. Yeah, 2017. It might have been 2016. I can't remember. But yeah, we just saw him catch 59 balls. So Carlos Hyde can catch. He's got good hands. He's still a good all-around running back. He's basically Frank Gore. He's good in all facets of the game. He's Frank Gore with better hands for the most part. Now, Damian Williams is quicker, I think. Yeah. Got just as good hands. But Carlos Hyde, I think, is going to have more fantasy points. I'm going to draft Hyde in the late middle rounds wherever I can. I'm going to be avoiding Damian Williams. Now, if it was Damian Williams in the 9th and Carlos Hyde in the 2nd, maybe I'd feel a little differently. Right. But as it stands, it would have to be at least the 6th round for me to take Damian Williams. Wow. There's no way
he's not going to. He's not going to be on your team.
No, because I'm going to have Carlos Hyde, and that's
well, you're not going to have Carlos Hyde because I'm going to snipe him. I'm going to be right behind you, or either in front of you, and I'm going to have Damian Williams on my team, and I'm already going to know that it's coming up. It's round 8. Don't do it,
if you want to waste that roster spot, if you want to waste that roster spot by having Williams and
it's not
Hyde,
a waste.
Go ahead.
I love insurance. Don't you have life insurance and auto insurance and other things like that? I mean, these guys run into each other every play. That's just good sense. That's just smart.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. So Tyreek Hill, we said for now anyway, right. If he's out, is Sammy Watkins, I mean, he immediately steps into the wide receiver 1 for the Chiefs. Does he have a shot at finishing as a top 12 wide receiver if Tyreek Hill is gone? Do you see him being there?
Volume alone, sure, he should. He's a young guy. If he stays healthy, he has. This is the stars are aligning for him finally to be a wide receiver 1. He's often overdrafted. We haven't seen him overdrafted for quite some time, but he's often overdrafted.
He used to be.
Yeah, he used to be. We always wanted to believe that the talent's there, obviously. And now he's got the best quarterback, I guess, or arguably the best quarterback in at least fantasy. We'll say that. And at least fantasy football that he's throwing to. I mean, how can he not? If he doesn't, then, I mean, somebody's got to catch the ball. And Kelsey's going to get covered. I don't think Marcus Kemp I know a lot of people are high on McCole Robinson. And, there's certainly some rapport there, it seems, between Robinson and Mahomes. I still don't see him factoring into kind of replace Tyreek, though, even if Tyreek is gone. I'm high on DeMarcus Robinson. I love D-Rob. But Sammy Watkins.
Well, let's pretend that Tyreek Hill is out. So just going into draft season, Hill's out for the season. Watkins or Amari Cooper?
Man, that's tough. I'm probably gonna. Oof.
That's harder than I thought it was going to be.
Because you're saying he's out now. So we're every draft that
let's say he is out.
Every draft that we're in, he might play. So yeah, he's out. I want to say Watkins. I'll probably say Watkins.
What about Brandon Cooks?
See, Cooks is
I'd
take Cooks. He's just too sure every year.
What about Kenny Golladay?
Yeah, I'd want Watkins over Golladay.
Robert Woods?
I'd want Woods.
Cooper Kupp?
Kupp.
All right. Just trying to see where you stand based on who's going around him right now.
Yeah, so he jumps to the 4th round, basically, possibly into the 3rd.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
He does. Let's move to the last team in the AFC, the Oakland Raiders. Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, their rookie that they just took very early, Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams, and Darren Waller at tight end. They really just, it's him and Luke Wilson. And I don't think we need to talk about the Oakland Raiders tight end situation.
Do we have to talk about the Oakland Raiders? Sorry, I know it's some Raiders.
You know
fans,
what?
But...
I think we should. Derek Carr.
Sorry, Raiders Nation.
Now, I was listening to one of the shows that I was not on a couple weeks ago, and I can't for the life of me remember who was saying it, but I think it was JM talking about how Derek Carr just flat out sucks. Was that him?
It could be. I know he's very hyperbolic like that. I would never say Derek Carr sucks. I mean, he finished a quarterback 1. I just think
Derek Carr did not have anything last year except for Jared Cook.
And he's learning.
I think Derek Carr is going to surprise a bunch of people this year. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 12 guy, but I am saying that if you're in a 2 quarterback or a super flex, he is going to be someone who is going to be a weekly starter for you because Josh Jacobs can do it all at running back. He's a great pass catcher. He's a great runner, great vision. You know, he's exactly what you want in your very high draft capital running back to be. But he didn't have Tyrell Williams last year, and he certainly did not have Antonio Brown last year. It was Jared Cook with his, 700 and something receiving yards that led all receivers for Oakland.
Yeah, he was the top 5 tight end last year as well.
Yep. The tight end 5 and his 700 yards was more than all of the wide receivers for the Raiders. Tyrell Williams was a big addition. Antonio Brown was an even bigger addition. Derek Carr, I think, is going to surprise a bunch of people this year. I don't think he's as terrible as some of the other guys here at Sleeper Wire too. Let me put it that way. He's not going to be back to MVP form, right? He doesn't have Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree anymore. But he's got Tyrell Williams and Antonio Brown, and that's a huge step up from last season.
I feel this is very Amari Cooper and Crabtree, Michael Crabtree all over again, which scares me a little bit off of Antonio Brown's hype. He's my bust coming into the season, him and Odell Beckham. I just don't love it's not enough balls. Derek Carr doesn't throw enough. He's not in a Steelers system where they're throwing the ball that much. So I just don't see the target count being as high for him to finish a wide receiver 1. Same thing with Odell. Odell usually catches about 90 to 100 balls a season. So does Jarvis Landry. And I just don't see them both doing that. You have David Njoku. Obviously, we're talking about the Browns now, but we're just talking about the bus. But back to the Oakland Raiders. Carr, this is the best supporting cast he's ever had. But I don't know. I'm fine with him in the 2 quarterback league, but I don't know. If not very high on Derek Carr. He's still probably going to be like my quarterback. I think I have him ranked 17 right now. And I think I actually have Mariota ahead of him, which is pretty bad. I might have to relook at that though. I might have to move Carr ahead by a smidge.
Mariota's going to be much closer to 32 than he is top 12 for me.
I think he'll surprise as well. I think he's another guy that will surprise. But I mean, Tyrell Williams, he could be that Michael Crabtree, and Antonio Brown could be that Cooper. So obviously Antonio Brown is way more talented, I would say, just off of
Now you would say everybody.
Yeah, everybody would say, I guess, just off of. I mean, talent. I don't want to take away from Cooper's talent because he's a talent in its own right. I think Antonio Brown. You just look at his work ethic and how hard he pours himself into the game, and you take that with his talent. I mean, he wasn't. Not to say the round pick affects it so much. I mean, Kelvin Harmon went recently in a pretty late in drafts, and he was a pretty talented guy too. But Antonio Brown, 6th rounder, Amari Cooper, 1st rounder. I mean, that's why I would think Antonio Brown's a little bit more talented. And it might be scratch your head to some people. Obviously, Antonio Brown track record speaks to that, though.
Is AB worth the 2nd round pick?
2nd round, end of the 2nd round, I take him. Sure, I wouldn't take him in the 1st or beginning of the 2nd.
Brown or Keenan Allen?
I take Keenan Allen.
Oh, what about Ty?
I'd much rather Ty. Ty is top 6 for me.
Mike Evans?
Mike Evans, yep.
Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, it's right there. I feel like he's towing that line, but I feel like Diggs could finish ahead.
Adam Thielen?
Thielen's finishing ahead.
All right, so you have Antonio Brown barely as a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I don't have him a 1 in my rankings. I have him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 14 right now in my rankings.
What about AJ Green?
AJ Green is ahead of him.
Okay. All right, good to know. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap it up for the show this week. Hoos, thank you so much for joining me. It was good to have this little, this was nice. Intimate, just you and me, baby.
Always a good time.
Everybody else, thanks for tuning in and listening. You can find us on the Sleeper app. I am on there at Professor Chris. Hoos is on there at Prophet Hoos, and we also have our main Sleeper Wire name there as well, sleeperwire.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, the Sleeper Wire Fantasy Football Club, and on Twitter at Who's the Prophet, at Prof_Chris SW, and at Sleeper Wire Show. Guys, well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Who's, thanks for joining me. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.